Long ball is going to go for a touchdown. The game's over. Webster Slaughter.
Beckham will go for the score. Unbelievable.
45-40. Run, William, run. He's got blockers in front. 5. Touchdown. Joshua Cribbs turns disaster into a score.
Sight wants it all on this one for Logan, and he is there.
Jim Brown to the 30. Jim Brown is going to go in for another touchdown.
The Cleveland Browns select Baker Mayfield.
Wow. It is Baker Mayfield.
I woke up feeling dangerous.
Hello, Cleveland. Welcome to another pregame edition of the 1085 Gridiron Podcast. I am your host, Andy Droki. As always, I got Jack McCurry rolling with me. How you doing today, Jack?
Doing well. We got another Browns game coming up this week, the Battle of Ohio. But of course, as it comes with every week as a Browns fan, we got other stuff to talk about that has nothing to do with the game itself. So let's get to it.
You know, I think after we're done with this season, I'm going to take every single talking point that we've had over the course of 2019 and put it into a Shakespearean-style play because I think it'd be such good drama. You could probably put it out as an actual play on Broadway, would be my guess.
If honestly, because, you know, Zach Jackson wrote a book this year, Tony Grossius wrote books. If there is no book about this season from like the moment we traded for Odell Beckham to the end, if there's no book about this season, I think you and I should, or somebody needs to pick it up and actually write it because it has been such a twists and turns of a story. Like, I don't think anybody would even believe the stuff that's going on.
I'm telling you, we should put it into like a play format. I think that would be great theater, pun intended. I think we should do that. We'll discuss that one more. But let's dive into some of these comments, Jack. And it first started with Odell Beckham yesterday. You know, there's been rumblings on Twitter about Odell isn't happy here, that he might request a trade in the offseason. He talked to the media yesterday, had a couple interesting quotes. Of course, a few members of the media ran with partial quotes and not the full thing. So why don't you go ahead and explain everything he said and where we're at right now?
Yeah, well, first of all, you know, there was the Twitter rumblings by, you know, the legendary, and I use air quotes when I say that, incarcerated Bob, saying that Odell Beckham was going to ask for a trade out of Cleveland this offseason, or this coming offseason. And, you know, it coincided with the fact that Odell hasn't been the electric player that, you know, we all expected. You know, his numbers are down in terms of, you know, what he's usually producing on the field. You know, he's averaging only less than 5 catches a game, less than 70 yards a game, and he only has 2 touchdowns. So, of course, you know, it's his media session, and, you know, then, you know, people are asking about his future with the Browns. Of course, there's 4 games left. It's not like the season's over, although some people are ready to pack it in. And, you know, Odell gave this really long, thought-out answer, and he goes, "No one knows what the future holds, like tomorrow. I couldn't tell you what's going to happen. My locker is right beside one of the men," meaning Jarvis Landry, "who means the most to me in the world. I think about just being able to come to work and seeing him every single day and how special this could be. So I couldn't sit here and tell you whether I'm going to be here, want to be here, don't want to be here. This is exactly where I'm at now, and I wouldn't rather be anywhere else. God has a plan, and in the offseason, everything will figure itself out. I feel like I've been here before answering questions about the next team while I'm on a team already. It's something I tune out. Catch me in the offseason. We'll see what happens. I don't know God's plans. I just follow his lead."
Yeah, and of course, that last little piece is what everybody ran with, and not there's no other place I would rather be right now. So here we are, you know, talking about the media and the players, and, you know, I'm not going to say misquotes because they are actual quotes, but not using the full context of how things go, and, you know, TMZ, clickbait articles, and everything. Can we just get to really good football questions and none of this BS stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame. And, like, I know the media is doing their job. They have questions, they want answers. But the thing is, 9 times out of 10, it's, the questions that we don't really care about. We want to know why the team's struggling, how the team's fixing it, like, what's going on, like, behind the scenes. Is things going well? We don't want to hear about, like, all this nonsense that they ask all the time. And there's respected media members in that room. And usually most of them do their job. There's a couple that are definitely looking for clicks, to get what what their bosses are looking for. And it's a shame, and it's the same person that misquoted Jarvis Landry when he said we're going to New England to win. And she, and I'll say she because it was her, and everybody knows who it was, made it look like Jarvis Landry was guaranteeing a victory against the Patriots. That's not how it was, but that's how it was quoted. The national media picked it up because she's one of the go-tos when it comes to the Browns media because she's done it a long time. And it looked silly, and then Jarvis had to come back and retract it. And once again, they did it with Odell, and Odell had to go on Twitter this morning and said, I never said I didn't want to be in Cleveland. The thing is with Odell Beckham right now, he is happy in Cleveland, I think. Do I think he's frustrated because, things haven't gone as well? I'm sure, but he's not saying that. He's saying all the right things. Maybe inside he's frustrated over how things have gone, but he's not going to say it. But, of course, the media is going to twist his words and make it act like he's frustrated. And then, of course, the national media is going to pick it up and turn it into a bigger story than it needs to be. I just wish that the media was – and it's not just in the sports media, it's media all across the map. I just wish they would get the truth out, the whole truth, and then we can digest that and dissect it all we want. But we don't live in that society these days, and it's unfortunate.
We live in an area or in a time where I have to speak the loudest so I can be heard. And I think that's true for most media. And the part about Odell being frustrated, he's not the only one that's frustrated. I think that an entire team feels that way. I'm sure Baker's frustrated about the results this season. I'm sure you ask guys like Landry and even guys like Demetrius Harris. For my point, you ask any coach on that coaching staff. Anybody in the front office, I'm sure they're all frustrated with the way the season has gone. It's not how they expected. I know they were doing their best to kind of pump the brakes on all the Super Bowl talk that went on before the season, and it just hasn't gone the way they wanted. And they've left a lot of games out there that they could have won, and they should have a much better record than they do now. But they're at a point where they're sitting at 5-7, and their playoff chances are flickering at this moment, and everybody's frustrated. And I totally understand where he's coming from and what he's saying, but he's not the only one on the team that feels that way. I'm 100% positive on that. But we live in a time where they'll take that little piece of quote and they'll run with it, and that's all we'll discuss leading up to the game on Sunday against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, then of course, the fans, and I'm a fan, you're a fan, I've stayed back, I haven't commented on a lot of this stuff. People, the media is going at the fans are going back at the media. There was a thing, I think it was Daryl Ryder said something about there's rumblings that Odell's frustrated, and people are like, they think that Daryl's basing that off of what Incarcerated Bob said. Like I told you off air, Anthony, there could be rumblings going on that Odell is frustrated, and it hasn't gotten public yet. Or hasn't gotten to guys like Schefter, Jason La Canfora, Peter King, etc. In like a week or two, if this stuff comes out and that says that Odell Beckham's frustrated, all these fans are going to be backpedaling, and they better apologize to Daryl Ryder and other people for saying what they've said to Daryl. And of course Daryl's not what he's tweeting, saying like, "Oh, I'll be nicer. It'll help the team." Blah blah blah, or whatever. Because I've tried to stay off Twitter because it's a wasteland at this point. But like, if Odell is frustrated, I don't think he's going to say it publicly. I think, he has towed the company line since the time he's gotten into Cleveland. If he's frustrated and wants out, I think he's going to work with the Browns to make sure that he gets out at some point if things aren't going well. I don't think he's going to go public just because I don't think Odell wants any more attention than he already has on himself, being the big celebrity that he is.
Yeah, it's just, we're at the point in the season, Jack, where the record is what it is. These talking points get amplified because there's coaches on the hot seat. Players are fighting for their jobs. They're fighting to be here next year. So we're just at a point in the season, and we've been here way too many times where you can kind of almost feel the tension in the air, and there's just so much going on between, like I said, the coaching staff, players, front office being here, ownership and whatnot. The tension is at an all-time high right now because of the record. So the talking points are going to get out of control, and until they start winning consistently, these talking points will continue to stay. Another fun talking point that we get to discuss that we really didn't get to on our last episode is that Demarius Randall did not play Sunday against the Steelers because he allegedly missed practice last Thursday, and Doug Deacon gave us a little bit the reason why on the radio this week, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, once again, social media went in an uproar last Saturday, and it was talking like Demarius Randall didn't travel with the team to Pittsburgh. It was a coach's decision. And then people were trying to figure out why. Our buddy Jake Trotter reported that he had skipped practice. Randall did. And then Monday, Doug Deacon did his usual appearance on Bull and Fox, and he said that he heard that Randall skipped practice, and it was on Thanksgiving morning because the Browns practice outdoors. I think it was about 35, 40 degrees that day. And Randall didn't practice because the Browns didn't have heaters outside. And, when I heard that, I laughed, first of all. And I'm thinking, Randall, and he hadn't acknowledged it earlier this week when he talked to the media. He said, I played in Green Bay. That's crazy that I wouldn't practice outside because it was too cold. I mean, Randall, it's been interesting because last year he was one of the beloved Browns. And then this year, he's been injured a lot. He's underachieved on the field, and he's obviously looking for a new contract. So I just wonder if the real Demarius Randall's coming out, and he just was fake last year to win the fans over, and then trying to get the contract extension. He wasn't fake on the field because he was one of the best secondary people in the league last season. But I'm just glad that we didn't sign him long term because the way he's been acting, and there's been other rumblings that he's been acting out behind the scenes. I'm actually glad that Dorsey didn't pay him or overpay him when he could have during the offseason, because Randall definitely isn't worth what he's allegedly been showing behind the scenes. And of course, his production's gone down on the field as well.
It was reported in the offseason that they were working on a deal, and the talk stalled because their free agency market completely blew up. I wonder if Demarius is going to regret not signing that deal because with everything that's gone on this season, with him being hurt, with him missing games because of missing practices, getting ejected in a game against Pittsburgh because of the hit. I'm just very curious if the way the season has gone for him, that he's going to regret not signing the deal that Dorsey had offered in the offseason, prior to this 2019 season. I don't think he'll be back here next year. I agree with you on that point. When the time comes at the end of the season, I think they'll say, thank you, Demarius. We won't be resigning you. Good luck on your next team. I don't think they'll cut him right now because they don't want him to join another playoff team here in the near future. So I just think that I wouldn't be surprised if he's a healthy scratch for the last few weeks, if Once the Browns are officially out of it at that point. But there's no way I see him coming back next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll play. Freddie has said multiple times this week that, Randall's come in, he's done everything they've asked him to do. He's been working hard, all that. Thinking long term, he's probably not going to get, obviously, what he is looking for in free agency. He'll probably end up having to take a 1-year prove-it deal. I'm sure he's regretting not taking the deal that Dorsey offered before free agency. Because, obviously, guaranteed money, he may never see that again. So he's probably kicking himself. Like I said, I'm glad the Browns didn't do it just because, they have to spend to re-sign Schobert, and obviously they got to address some holes this offseason in free agency with the money that they still have available. So freeing up that money that they didn't have to spend on Randall was probably better for the team moving forward.
All right, let's transition to game talk here. The thing that we really love to do. We'll get some of this injury stuff out of the way first. David Njoku will be returning to the Browns on Sunday after being sidelined with that broken wrist. He has been practicing. He wasn't able to go against Pittsburgh, but he will be active on Sunday against Cincinnati. Greg Robinson cleared concussion protocol, so he will be back. Eric Murray is doubtful. Chris Hubbard, Treader, and Vernon are all questionable for the game on Sunday. I guess the biggest update is Baker's limited in practice on Wednesday. He hit his hand on a helmet in the game against the Steelers on Sunday. He had to come out for a couple plays, but he was able to tough it out for the rest of the game. He was full practice yesterday and today. Jack, should we be worried long term about his hand? I know he said that Mama didn't raise no wuss in terms of dealing with the pain on his throwing hand.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried at all. I mean, it was a contusion, which it was just a bad bruise. I'm sure it's gotten better all week, so I really wouldn't worry about it. The only thing I worry about is he going to have the proper protection, especially going up against Cincinnati's defensive front. Dunlap and Adkins have been, a pain in the Browns side for many years. So you better hope that, with Robinson coming back, that the protection improves. Obviously, with Hubbard and Treader both questionable, that does, strike some fear into the hearts of Browns fans because our line is a little bit shaky as it is. If you go down one starter like we did last week losing Robinson, you've seen how poor it was. So I'm not worried about Baker. There's people out there that say we should shut him down to keep him his long-term health, keep him safe. But Baker, he's a competitor. Like he said, Mama didn't raise no wuss, and I fully expect Six to be out there and slinging the ball around against this bad Bengals team.
Yeah, this Bengals team is 1-11 on the season. They got their first win last week against the New York Jets. I'm glad we both didn't pick those as our lock of the week because I was at least thinking it. I don't know about you, but they finally got their first win. They're in the driver's seat to get the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Andy Dalton is back at quarterback. He has an 11-4 record against the Browns, including 27 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. So, Jack, with the Bengals getting the first win, Andy Dalton being back at quarterback, I know they don't have A.J. Green, but do you think that they can start to build some momentum based on their win last week against New York and coming in against the Browns secondary and defense that is really still banged up?
Yeah, the Bengals are a bad football team. There's no mistake about it, but, they played well against Pittsburgh, and they beat the Jets last week, whose defense was playing really well the last few weeks coming into the Bengals game. They're playing confident football right now, and obviously, Dalton back in, he's, gave the offense a little shot in the arm. They're playing confident football, and you don't want to play against a team that's got confidence right now, especially with the Browns. Things are swirling. You don't know what's going to happen down the stretch. Like, you don't know if there's changes coming. This is the ultimate trap game for the Browns. And even if they're 5-7 and, there's a 6% chance that they're making the playoffs according to ESPN, like, you don't want to take a team like the Bengals lately when they're coming in playing confident football, and they're probably feeling like they can compete with anybody, especially, having Dalton back under center, who, and even though what people want to say he's a mediocre quarterback, he's played well against the Browns his whole career. If you look at the numbers, 27 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. I mean, he always seems to play well against Cleveland, and, despite some of the stuff around him being a little shaky, it wouldn't surprise me if he comes in and has a good performance on Sunday.
Yeah, despite not having Adrian Green, they still have talent on offense. They have Joe Mixon, who's a good running back. They have Tyler Boyd, who is a good receiver. He's a good number 2 across from Adrian Green, but he's had to be their number 1 this year. I think John Ross has been a little bit of a disappointment. I know he's been injured this year, but hopefully, they could. They could start to get it going to him, except for this week. But I think that they're still believe in him, and they also have Tate as well. So they have talent on that offense. I know their offensive line isn't very good. They've really struggled this season, but they do have playmakers. Kind of like they're not the level of playmakers that the Browns have. But if you look at the way the offenses are constructed, they have playmakers. They have a decent quarterback. It's just the offensive lines on both Cincinnati and the Browns are not very good. So they're kind of similar in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Cincinnati's future outlook, like, they're going to take a quarterback at number 1. I mean, all signs are pointing towards Joe Burrow. And, if they're going to draft Joe Burrow, they need to heavily invest in the offensive line, much like Cleveland needs to do starting this offseason. They should have done it 2 offseasons ago once they drafted Baker number 1 overall, but, that's a story for another day. But the talent that they can put around Burrow, like, it's already here. Mixon's having a down year. He's only averaging 3.5 yards per carry. They have Giovanni Bernard. He's having a lackluster year, not like previous seasons. And then at wide receiver, like you said, Tyler Boyd, solid number 2 option, great route runner, leads the team with 68 catches. Auden Tate is coming on as a late round rookie pick. I know our buddy Jeff Lloyd loved him coming out of Florida State. Alex Erickson is a solid target for them. He's got 30 catches, over 400 receiving yards. Tyler Eifert hasn't got hurt yet this year, which is surprising. And then John Ross is coming off an injured reserve. He got off to a hot start. He had over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first 4 games, was finally showing his worth as a top 10 pick a couple years ago. So whoever they draft at quarterback, if it's Burrow, if they decide to pass on Burrow, maybe take Tua, which is definitely risky with the hip injury. The talent's there. They just need to improve up front. They gave up 41 sacks this year already. I couldn't even tell you how many QB hits Dalton and Ryan Finley have had to take. But, if they're going to take a quarterback, which all signs are pointing to, they definitely need to upgrade the offensive line.
They should take Chase Young. He's the best player in the draft. But with their desperate need at quarterback, I think it's almost a no-doubter that they're going to take one of those quarterbacks at the top of the draft. Now, I would say leave it to the Bengals. They'll be the ones to take Justin Herbert number 1. But they'll definitely be taking a quarterback when the draft comes in a few months from now. The defense that they have still has some talent. Obviously the Browns' offensive line has struggled, Jack. So what can the Bengals do defensively to really get this Browns offense to struggle on Sunday?
Well, their run defense is the worst in the league. So obviously up front, they're going to have to try to stop Chubb and Hunt. That's why I even put in our notes, feed Chubb and Hunt. Like, Freddie tends to shy away from it every now and then. Like, this is December football. It's cold in Cleveland. The wind's going to be swirling. you don't want to have Baker throw 35 times. His win-loss record is bad when he has to throw more than 35 times. And you have two of the top talented running backs in the National Football League. Utilize them. Like, give Chubb his 20 to 25 carries, give Kareem Hunt 15 to 20, and just punch Cincinnati in the mouth. If they try to respond, then open up the passing game. The thing is, as bad as their defense has been, their secondary isn't all that bad. They gave up 16 touchdowns in 12 games in the air. That's not bad. They've given up a lot of yardage, but and they haven't forced a lot of turnovers, but their secondary is probably their strongest point of the defense. You know, Jesse Bates is a solid safety. Sean Williams is as well. Kirkpatrick's had a down year because of injuries. And then they have William Jackson, who they've had for a couple years. So, I mean, there's talent back there. They're starting B.W. Webb, who has been around the league a lot. And they have Darqueze Dennard, who he's battled injuries as well. So they're thin at corner, but their safeties are strong. So this might not be a game where Jarvis Landry gets targeted a lot, but, you know, this could be a breakout game for Odell Beckham maybe. So if they run the ball and maybe set up some play action, I think that would be their best point of attack going forward on Sunday for the Browns offense, at least.
Yeah, I kind of see this game having the opportunity to go the way it did against Miami. I know the weather's supposed to be relatively nice on Sunday, around 50 degrees, so I think they're going to try to throw the ball. I just hope they don't try to get cute with Cincinnati, because with the way they've competed over the last couple of weeks, if you try to get cute against that team, it might not work out for you in the end. So I would say just do whatever you needed to do to be successful. Run it right. Don't get cute. Just execute as best as you can. I know Freddie's used that word so often this season. Just execute. And they should be able to handle this game pretty well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but I mean, and you know, Robinson coming back is a huge thing, because while I said that they're poor against the run, they're getting after the quarterback. Like I said, they have Dunlap, who's got 5.5 sacks, has hit the quarterback 14 times. Sam Hubbard, coming from out of Ohio State, I think this is his second or third year. He's got 5 sacks and 9 QB hits. Geno Atkins, we know what he can do. He's getting after the quarterback. Carl Lawson is as well. Like, there's some talent in that front seven. They just haven't been able to stop the run, but they've been able to get after the quarterback and, cause havoc back there. So, you know, Hubbard, and hopefully he's not too banged up. Him and Robbins are going to have to come in and play their A game. But like I said, if they run the football and control the clock like they did against Pittsburgh early, but do it all 60 minutes, there's no reason why the Browns shouldn't win this game.
All right, Jack, give me a final score prediction for Sunday and who you're picking to win this one.
I'm picking the Browns to win. I mean, you look at the talent. Right there, you know, Cincinnati they're rebuilding. It's clear. There's going to be a lot of turnover with this team. You know, this is going to be probably Andy Dalton's last game against Cleveland as a Bengal. AJ Green's not playing, but I would assume, you know, this is his final season in Cincinnati. Really weird. Like, it's been a nagging ankle injury, and maybe it's more severe than people think, but you know, it's just weird that he hasn't taken the field yet this year. It kind of makes me think he's just holding out and just wants to move on and go to a contender and try to win a Super Bowl. But like I said, the talent, you could tell the difference. Hopefully the Browns come out and, you know, prove to people that, you know, they're still going to fight hard down these final 4 games. I hope that's the case. You know, you see people saying, pack it in, you know, tank the season out and get a higher draft pick. Like, we got to stop this loser mentality and the losing culture. And I just want this team to fight down the stretch. So I'm going to pick the Browns. I'm going to say 28-17.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm going to go as far as to say that the Browns winning this week is going to be my lock of the week. I haven't picked the Browns to be the lock of the week since the Denver game. I think that's the only time I've done it this season, and we know how that went. So hopefully that doesn't happen this Sunday. But I think the Browns win big on this one. I'll say they win 34-20. I'll say 34-20. I think it's going to get most of the games going to be pretty comfortable, kind of like that Miami game, but Cincinnati will kind of get a garbage touchdown late and make the score look closer than it actually was.
That's fair. I mean, like, the Browns should blow them out. I think they're 9-point favorites. Hopefully it's like the Miami game. Hopefully they hang 40 and just kind of simmer the fan base down. It's been a rough week. People are calling for heads to be fired, and that might be the case 4 weeks from now, but just there's 4 games left. Cheer on the Browns. Hopefully they get some more W's. You just got to get rid of this losing culture and this loser mentality.
It's funny how you just mentioned about simmering the fans down. Whatever they do, you can't win, because the Miami game that I went to, they're like, why aren't you guys running the ball? And then they run the ball. Why aren't you guys throwing it to Odell? I can't believe he doesn't have a target yet. And they're different people, so it's like no matter what you do, you can't win. So hopefully we just get a win on Sunday, and that's all that matters at this point.
Well, it's like, I forget who said it. If you listen to the fans, you end up sitting with the fans. So I know the fans are passionate. They want to see a winner. Me and you both want to see the Browns win and succeed. But you can't listen to what the fans want all the time, because most of the time we're wrong.
Yeah, I can't remember who said that either. That's a good quote. I can't remember who said that. All right, Jack. Anything else before we get on out of here?
No, sir. Just go Browns.
All right. As always, you can follow Jack on Twitter at JMcCurryCLE. You can follow me on Twitter at Anthony Joki, Joki. Be sure to follow the podcast and our website at The Dogland on Twitter. Be sure to visit dogland.com. We'll keep you updated on Browns news. We should have a pregame piece coming up on there today or tomorrow would be my guess. As always, you can find our podcast on every platform you can think of: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And like Jack said, the most important thing going to the game on Sunday is go Browns and go Buckeyes tomorrow night.